post it later. Okay, cool. We're recording. Is everyone muted? All right, awesome. Okay, so as most of you know, a bunch of us, I think there was like close to 30 members from the Dream Team that were at New Leader Conference, I guess almost 2 weeks ago. And this is something that for me personally, I had been pushing to get to for about 2 years. I was a 1-star diamond for 2 years. And then finally I was like, I can't watch people go to this awesome event one more time without me going. So I finally like sucked it up and pushed a 2-star and did it. And then they're like, 1-stars are going. And I was like, okay, but you know, it was still very much worth the push and worth all of the hard work and the effort. So if you haven't been to New Leader Conference yet, do whatever you need to do to grow your business to get yourself there. I understand now why everyone's like, New Leader Conference changed my business, because there is this just total energy about the situation. Like, it's a small, intimate setting. Everyone from corporate is there, like loving on you, because basically at this point you're the future of the company. So they're really, you know, paying attention and making sure that they are giving us trainings that are really catered to where we are at now in our business as 1- and 2-star diamonds. But then I think the other super amazing thing was just how many people, there's like a handful of people there who were like emeralds in January last year and were like elite coaches now that were at this event. And I just was like, holy crap, like, why not me? Like, why can't I be here next year, like, you know, or be at the same situation next year, way further along in my business? You're just going to start probably a few weeks, haven't been running off. Karen, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm assuming you're talking to someone about running, but I'm so confused by that. Anyways, so as far as the training goes, we're just going to kind of, Kendra and Ronnie Joe and I were just going to like bounce around. And Karen, I thought that you were just like telling me that you were going to start pushing for like a new rank, but maybe not yet. I was like, what is she trying to say? It was making me laugh. All right, we're all just going to kind of jump around and just share our takeaways from the different trainings. They gave us this really awesome packet for all of the trainings, and I was just kind of reading through it this morning, but there were some very specific trainings that stuck out to me. So I'm just going to flip through my packet and kind of give like my top takeaways and then my takeaway from the whole experience. And I think each of us are just going to take like 10 minutes or so. My dog is very needy. She wants on my lap. Hold. This is usually our snuggle time, so she's confused. Okay, so the first presentation that we had was actually Jeff Hill. And he talked about a book that he was reading called Good to Great. So it was a lot of takeaways from that book. But I think the one thing that stuck out for me the most from that training was that he said, stop doing lists are more important than start doing lists. So there are things that at this point in our business, we need to kind of look at our activities and be like, okay, I need to stop doing that because that's clearly not moving my business forward. It's not a good use of my time. Maybe it's scrolling Facebook. Maybe it's like working at times when you're not your best self and you don't need to be like dedicating that time, like shifting your schedule around, whatever it is. But I really left that. I like underlined that, stop doing lists. So when I came home, I really laid out a schedule, which goes into Mel's training, but just things that I needed to stop doing that were not moving my business forward was a huge takeaway from that training. The next one was Michael Neiman's, which was setting the bar. It was pretty self-explanatory, get people results type of thing. Okay, the next training was Kim Fitzpatrick, and I know Ronnie Joe was going to talk a lot about this, but Kim and Jamie Fitzpatrick's training, I mean, he didn't do the training, she did it all, but the environment, the culture that they've created together as a couple for their challengers, Jamie was kind of telling us, it was actually really cool. The first night we were there, Mel and Kim had to go to like a speaker dinner. And so Jamie just kind of stayed and hung out with us, just the Dream Team coaches that were sitting around at the bar and just talking to us as the 1- and 2-star diamonds that we were sitting there. And just talking about how like Kim's area of expertise is customer service. and his area of expertise is coach training. So she really focuses on challenge groups and giving their challengers the best customer experience to turn them into amazing coaches. And then he really takes their coaches and does the training and really goes one-on-one with them to help them reach their coaching goals. But basically they have this whole system for their challenge groups, which I was actually kind of proud of myself, because I was like, okay, I do a lot of these things already. It's not as organized as theirs is, with like this crazy document they had that they give to all of their customers. But I do have like Google forms that I sprinkle throughout my challenge groups that are just, you know, a welcome email. So as soon as someone signs up to and orders a challenge pack, I really worked this week on getting, as like, I have a list in my MailChimp that's new challengers. And as soon as they order their challenge pack, I enter their email address in there, and they auto get a welcome email explaining the app to them with 6 steps of what they need to do to get started right, et cetera, et cetera. So I made sure that I got that system in place. If that's one thing that I did from the time that I left till when I got home, it's just getting a system for my challengers in place. So as soon as they order, there's no lapse time. Within 12 hours, they're getting an email from me that's like, this, thank you for your order. I'm so excited for you. This is where the magic happens. This is what you should do first. This is when your group's going to start, et cetera, et cetera. They have a resource guide of personal development for their new challengers. They all read a book together each month. I'm trying to figure out how that would actually work. Maybe just the book I'm reading, I tell them they can read too. Just meeting people where they are. So if they're struggling with food, getting them food journals, making sure that they understand their vision and their mission, teaching them how to make vision boards, like stuff that we do as coaches, they're actually doing with their challengers. And then they call out their challengers. So if you have a challenger that is like doing awesome with their nutrition, they'll message them and be like, hey, could you do a nutrition post on this day in the challenge group, just with like some tips or whatever. So they're really getting their challengers running their groups like their coaches before they're even coaches. So when they go to make that transition and they go to send that coaching invite, they're literally already doing what we do as coaches within the challenge groups, which is really awesome. And then they just said, like, parallel the coach experience, have your clients help in their area of expertise, and look at who is leading and write it down. So she showed like a picture of her whiteboards behind her, and she has like a leader list in her challenge groups, like people who are just like sharing content and really helping. And it's just this whole list, and she's inviting those people. She's constantly adding to that list and moving them to wherever they need to be. The next training was Bonnie. It was on Instagram. Like, basically, I have so many notes from this. I left there like, okay, you just need to get your crap together and start thinking about Instagram. So I'll let Kendra talk about that when it's her turn. Melanie did success and life balance. So she talked a lot about building your calendar, how to prioritize time with your spouse and your family. So I did do this when I got home, and my husband was actually, we did it this week for the first time. Super grateful for it. I made my calendar of times that I'm going to work, chunks of time that I'm working. And then I sat down with him and I said, I need to work two weeknights of the week. And I want you to pick which nights those are so I can plan my sneak peeks and plan this and that. And so he was like, all right, I'm playing hockey on Wednesday. That's a good night for you to work. And then he was like, I guess Thursday works too. But now he was kind of in control of that. So when he came home Monday and Tuesday, the last 2 nights, I put my phone away because I didn't really want to have that fight. Nothing in my inbox was that urgent. Like, I think NLC just has made me so much more like, schedule, this is my job, like schedule the time that I'm working. Just get your crap together and don't ignore the people that love you and want you to be successful. Like, why am I fighting with him about work time when he's like my biggest cheerleader? Don't fight with him. Just let him be in control of your schedule a little bit. So that's been really good for us this week. The next training, oh my gosh, you guys, was on volume. And like I hope they recorded this training, because the way they broke down volume and how to like maximize your income was like, I cannot repeat it, but it made so much sense, and just like numbers and how to divide them. And it's everything that we know already. Like, how do you drive volume, add coaches and customers, increase your retention, introduce more products to existing customers, volume strong coaches, teach your coaches how to be volume strong, and develop star diamond coaches. So that all made sense, but just like the numbers and like where to put it on your legs to maximize your cycling. Pray that they recorded that, because that was seriously awesome. It was really good, but I'm not a numbers person, so I'm not going to try to tell you that. The next training was Achieve Elite in 2018. And literally I wrote in huge capital letters, there is a way, you just have to figure it out. So Elite this year is just, it makes so much more sense. I feel like this was the first year I looked at the Elite guide and was like, I can do this. This is totally doable. I know that they changed requirements. They lowered numbers of points. Some people are like, oh, it's harder now, but I think for the culture that we have here, it's really not going to be any harder or any easier. It's just what it is now. So if Elite is on your goal board, go for it. You can do it. Anyone can go Elite. You just have to figure it out. Okay, the next training was my favorite one. So this is probably the one I'm going to really talk about the most. Kim Fitzpatrick again. This was her training called Faith Over Fear. And when I first saw that that's what her training was called, I was like, oh, interesting. She's going to be talking about like getting over your fears. But it wasn't really about that at all. It literally was just like being unapologetically you, figuring out who that is and sticking within that brand. So making your posts and your social media, your story, your brand that people know when they come to your page, they're going to get a taste of 5 things. So she said to tell the story of your life, share your truth. Branding is more about healing and helping. So it's not like, anything crazy. It's about healing and helping. How can you heal? How have you healed and how can you help others? Teach the 3 R's to new coaches, and that's to be real, to be relatable, and to be resourceful. Your first 3 sentences in any post need to capture their attention so that people can say, I relate to that. So, and if you add value, you will be valued. And I think as a newer coach, when I was told to, I'm going to mute you, Chris Lumpy, one sec. Oh, there you go. I think as a new coach, when I was told like, add value, add value, add value, I thought that meant like recipes and meal plans and stuff. And so I was like trying to do what I saw everyone else doing. Like I saw like all these other coaches sharing like awesome clean eating recipes. And like literally, guys, I can't cook rice. I tried to make hour-long rice last week and forgot about it. And it sat in there for 2 hours. And now it's like the size of like corn kernels. So I can't even cook rice. So why am I trying to give people recipes on social media? So with this, like my value that I had to add as Taylor is just my shitty experiences in life and like how I've decided to try to overcome them. And that adds value to people who are going through those types of situations. I might not be someone who's really promoting clean eating, but I can promote like getting yourself back up when you get knocked back down and how I have figured that out and what has worked for me and overcoming hard things and hard times. So that was really like something that kind of was an aha moment, but also I was like, okay, I'm doing this the right way, but now I just need to come up with the system so I don't have to think about it all the time. Like I don't constantly have to be like, how am I adding value? It's just in a constant rotation. It's always there for me to just add. So she made her 5 brand identifying attributes, and hers were mindset and faith, fashion, fitness, family, and food. And so I've been sitting down and trying to like pick my 5, and mine are definitely this dog, so puppies, marriage, fitness, faith, and just like overcoming hard things. So when you go to my page now, it's pretty much a constant rotation of those things, which also the Josh Coates training, if any of you guys are in Josh Coates' push group, I think that group, in addition to NLC at the same time, were just they were like blowing my mind. Like I've just been on fire. I feel like I really have been able to keep this energy up. And I think it's because of the Josh Coates training going on at the same time, just having an outline of exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Those posts, like you don't have to post 25 times a day anymore. You really can just post 2 good quality content, unapologetically you posts, which is what Kim really hit home on, was just find your 5 things and stay inside of them. Don't go outside of them because then people get confused. Like, what is this girl's message? I don't understand. Just find your 5 brand identifying things that you are going to talk about on your social media and focus on that. The other thing, the last thing, okay, we also had Yeah, I'm not going to talk about compliance. Not going to talk about leadership. Our monthly plan for success, Mel's done that. You guys have all heard that. Okay, so 2 more things because I just saw the Shakeology thing. The last big thing that I took away for me personally was that it's okay to find what I'm good at and focus on that. And I think Bonnie said, forget what you've seen every other leader do before you and do what works for you. Like, just because you saw someone else do all of this stuff that was like really working for them does not mean that it's going to work for you, because you might not like it. Like, it really might not be something that you are good at. So to find what works for you and to do that. So I think that really allowed me to really say, like, okay, I love blogging. I love storytelling. I love sharing my story. I love like having those conversations with people. I love hearing other people's stories. So how can I do more of that within what's working within the business? So for me, I've been taking like everything that I'm blogging about or posting about on my Facebook, which is more relationship building, and taking that to my Instagram stories. So anything that I'm like typing out and posting in my blog, I'm giving little snippets of on my Instagram stories. So I've really been trying to like parallel that content in that way. And then the last thing is, like, guys, Shakeology is freaking awesome. Like, I know we know this. I know we preach it. I know maybe at this point in our business, we're like, yeah, it's awesome, but we forget why it's such an amazing product, because we've just been drinking it for so long, and you know, we just are in it. We're doing it. We've been doing it every day. But they have this doctor, this new guy now named Dr. Luigi. He's only been with the company for a couple months, but he's been with other companies. And so he did this whole training for us on just like how awesome Shakeology is. And he was like, every time you do a post about health and nutrition and Shakeology and what's in it, there are hundreds of thousands of people that are eating poorly. So anytime that you're like worried about Shakeology and the like objection, yeah, he's also worthy. You know what's crazy is like all these Shakeology people, like Darren and Luigi, have these like butter voices. Like, aren't their voices just like so soothing? Like, I just like could listen to them. I don't know what he was saying half the time. His voice is just so soothing. But anyways, thanks, Katie. That all these people are eating poorly, so we like have to do our job, you know, here. So it was just really, really, I also hope that they have his training. I actually think Mel said she was going to try to have him do a team call, because of just the information he shared was just so incredible about what's actually in Shakeology, why it's in there, what it does for your body. He was really funny too, like talking about his kids. The last thing he really wanted to like hit home with us was it's the heart behind the shake. So he was like, I've never worked for a company that quality controls like Shakeology does, like Beachbody does. Like, it's triple tested. They're not putting stuff in there if they decide that it's not worthy of being in their shake. Like, they are just really so consistent with their product. So I know we just had that like whole situation with Energize, and people were like, wow, there's organic cane sugar in this now, and it was beet sugar. Well, they felt like the beets weren't good enough, like the plants weren't good enough, and the organic cane sugar, which is also a plant that sugar is coming from, was a better source. So they were like, it's an upgrade in product. Anytime we replace something in Shakeology, it's an upgrade. Julia, you're a little loud over there.
Sorry. Just got on.
That's all right. Okay, so that's really all I have. I know it's a lot of information. I was just really blown away by like the caliber of these trainings and how they really just like met us where we are. Is there a resource that we can have about the cane sugar? I don't know that they have one yet, since they just did that shift, but I know like when they added it into Shakeology, there has to be something, because they took out agave, I think, when they replaced the cane sugar. But I am kind of like a product nerd, because my husband would take like a million supplements and I would like dump them down the drain. I was that wife. And then when I like started doing this, I was like, okay, maybe they're not all bad. But okay, so my last big takeaway is just like, I think just our team in general, like the dream team, and just like the little bit of time that we got to spend with Kim and Jamie, like how respected the dream team is in general. Like, they were just like blown away that there were so many of us there from the team. They were really blown away that like a lot of us didn't know each other, but we were like walking up to each other and like hugging each other and like getting to know each other right there on the spot. And they just were like, the dream team is just like the team that does stuff with integrity. And so I think that there's just something to be said about that. Like, no one is looking, when you say like, oh, I'm like on the dream team, people are like, oh, those people do things the right way. So I think just be proud to know that you are on a team that's like that, and just be proud to know that you are doing things the right way, and that the team in general is very respected. And it was just awesome to get to meet all of these like amazing people that I've only seen on social media or like in this group learning with friends on Facebook with. But those are just my takeaways. All right, Kendra, you're up.
Cool. That was awesome. Yeah, it was definitely like another huge like aha event for myself. And every time I go to these events, by the way, I'm Kendra, and I'm probably don't know most of you guys. I have been a coach for like almost 3 years, and I just have not been like in the dream team. I've kind of just been a coach like outside of the dream team and kind of did my own thing. So this weekend or 2 weekends ago was really cool just for me to get to know the dream team. I honestly didn't think like I was like anybody on the dream team. And then I went to NLC and I got to meet everybody. And I was just like sitting there one night. I'm like, oh my God, like these are my girls. And for 3 years, I was thinking that I was just such an outcast. So I need to knock that off and just be more involved, which I just so appreciate the dream team. And like, I'm a part of the dream team, but I just never felt that way. And that was my own issue. So I think that was like a huge takeaway is just, we have an awesome team. Everyone is so welcoming. And yeah, it was such a great weekend. So if you haven't been to one of these conferences, definitely try to make it there. And then also like push for these smaller conferences, like leadership conferences, because they really just like hone in, you know, your why, and they just solidify like why you're coaching and why you constantly need to move your business forward. So awesome weekend. Great takeaways, Taylor. I'm going to like hone in a little bit more on Bonnie's training on Instagram, because in the last 6 months, I have moved my business from Facebook to 98% Instagram. I don't use Facebook anymore. And I'm not going to lie, the first 3 to 4 months of me switching from my personal page on Facebook to just Instagram was a little rough just in terms of engagement. But I feel like now I'm finally kind of like hitting the ground running with Instagram. So she really spoke to me in her trainings. What Taylor said, Bonnie said, stop doing those before you did and start doing what you want, basically. And I have looked at so many coaches in my past and tried to replicate what they're doing and their pictures and their content, but it was not at all me. So I've completely unfollowed coaches, and I feel bad about it, but you know, it was just distracting to me. And I started to just really run with my branding, and we've learned a lot about like our 5, you know, big topics that we want to talk about. And so I've kind of figured mine out, and that's all that I post about. And so I really like her quote about that. And then she did a lot of just really, really intense Instagram training. And so we have our 5 for branding. If you haven't figured out your 5, there are definitely a lot of trainings out there. Find your 5 that you really want to focus on. For example, I'm a spin instructor. I just got diagnosed with autoimmune, so now I focus on that. I do a lot of like 80-20 living. I will fully admit I've never finished a program from start to finish. That's just not how I roll. I'm very just like, have your cake and eat it too, but clean up the ingredients. So that is one of my brands, is I talk a lot about, you know, just living a lifestyle of balance, never depriving yourself, but also like you got to keep it together 80% of the time if you want to see results. And yeah, so I really have been trying to stick to my brand. What I've been doing is I've been reaching outside of Beachbody coaches, and I've been following a lot of people that inspire me, a lot of people that have the same filter as me, like kind of like dark Instagram filters. And I ask them to look at my page and give me input. And this is, I don't know if it's called third party reviewing, but I've asked a lot of people, at least 2 people a month that are not related to Beachbody, that are bloggers, that are really successful in terms of having a following, and people that are just popular through Instagram. I ask them to go to my page and tell me what they see. Tell me, you know, what they, you know, see of me and like what I talk about a lot. Because if you're getting an opinion from somebody outside of what we do, then you can kind of really see and figure out if your 5 branding topics are being talked about. So that's a tip that I've been utilizing. I don't think that it was taught at the conference, but it's helped me in terms of Instagram. Being 100% myself, I definitely was someone to like replicate what other coaches were doing. It wasn't me. So ever since I just completely unfollowed and stopped looking at other people's pages, I have 100% owned myself, and it's really helped with engagement and people liking and commenting and following me. Kim talked a lot about, in the first 2 sentences, you really need to have something to get people's attention. And that spoke to me a lot. So what I've been trying to do just to hone in on that idea is I'm creating my posts to be shorter. So I don't have these long posts because personally, I don't read people's posts if they're more than like 2 paragraphs long. I just don't have the time. No offense, but it's just not me. So I have taken that and now I'm starting to use that. So I try to keep my posts under 3 paragraphs because I personally wouldn't read into 3 paragraphs. So definitely take a step back, think about what are the posts that you like? Like, what do you like to read? Do you like to read smaller posts? Do you like to read longer posts? And those are the tips and ideas that you should incorporate into your business. So I started to create shorter posts, and then with that post, I take that directly to Instagram stories. So every time I post, I talk about that post in my Instagram stories to give people a little bit more background and to kind of just give them more information on what that post was about, give them more of my personality. So Instagram stories, Bonnie talked a lot about, and she talked a lot about figuring out where you are in your life and where you were before Beachbody. So you have before Beachbody, right now in your life, and where you want to be. And I sometimes forget who I was before Beachbody came into my life because I'm just such a better person, and now that's all I want to talk about. But people relate when you always go back to like where you were, because they're at the beginning point of their health and fitness journey or their coaching journey. So always talk about, yes, the past, but then also talk about, where you are now in your business and in your health and fitness journey. And then also talk a lot about your vision for your team, the vision for yourself, the vision to pay off debt, the vision that you want to really just come out of being a Beachbody coach. So that was the first thing. The second thing is health and fitness. If you guys go to my page, I don't have videos anymore of my workouts. I don't have a lot of fitness posts because I really want to focus on recruiting and building a team. So everything health and fitness related is in my Instagram stories. And I feel like that has given me more personality, and it's allowed people to really just follow the fitness programs that I'm doing, the meal plans that I'm doing. And I just really enjoy Instagram stories and sharing my health and fitness. Personally, I go and gravitate towards pages that have a lot of like cool photos of the person and cool backgrounds. And I just really like dark colors. So I'm really trying to make my Instagram feed more of a brand rather than health and fitness. And then I talk a lot about health and fitness on my Instagram stories. Making sure that you bring your personality out. I'm a spin instructor. I love doing like lip sync battles, and I do that a lot before I start my workouts. Like I listen to a lot of R&B hip hop. I'm really goofy, so I just try to make sure my Instagram stories, share that, I guess. So number 4, business. So make a list of things that have changed in your life, things that you want people to know, things they will have to do as a coach, and what the vitals are. So I try to make a list of things that have changed my life about Beachbody. I post about those. I talk about those in my Instagram stories. Things that I want those to know. So what do challenge groups consist of? What does coaching consist of? And a huge one was, what are the vitals? So I talk a lot about in my Instagram stories the fact that we need to invite to the coaching opportunity and to the challenge group opportunity. I talk a lot about personal development, being proof the product works, and recognition. My team is kind of like added on social media and connecting with people as kind of like 2 other vitals. But I talk a lot about what I expect when people join my team. This way they're not surprised when they do join my team. And I talk a lot about too, what people expect when they join my challenge groups. Last night I got uncomfortable and I did a live Instagram sneak peek on my Instagram, and that was pretty interesting. I like set up the monitor and I just went live and I gave like a coach opportunity, and it was really cool. It was like 15 minutes long and it was just a new thing. So definitely try new things with Instagram stories. I think it went well. I think I signed up like 1 or 2 coaches, which was awesome, but it just really shows your personality. And I had like a glass of wine. I was showing how I Jimmy rigged the Instagram live feed. And then also something else that has worked for me that I just took away from the NLC was I created, which I'm sure most of you guys have done, but I've created a sneak peek in my Instagram, and then I take that whole sneak peek, put it underneath my highlight under my bio. And when I'm talking to people about coaching, I'm like, hey, you know, I would love to send you more information. How about you check out the highlight under my bio to get some more details? It's only like a few minutes long, and then we can chat after. So when they do that, I say, hey, when is a good time for me to get back to you, whether it's tonight or tomorrow? And a lot of people have really found that helpful because they don't have to go away from Instagram to do that. Let's see here. Oh, this is a huge takeaway for me in terms of Instagram. Take a moment, think about what Instagram pages you go to, what Instagram stories you like. So I am someone that doesn't like to sit there and watch people talk. I scroll through things. I like tips. I like boomerangs. I like quick. So I was noticing that I was doing these like little 15-second like for 8 times, and I would just swipe through those on other people's profiles, yet I was doing them. So you have to take a step back and figure out what are the Instagram feeds and what are the Instagram stories that you really just find that are engaging to you, and replicate that, but make it your own. So I reflected on that, which was great. Another huge tip too, you guys, is since I'm kind of already in the health and fitness industry, I'm a spin instructor, I have been reaching out to a lot of people, and instead of just sending a hey girl message, I say, hey girl, love your feed. It's totally inspiring. Love your color scheme. Are you a coach too, or a lifestyle coach too? So I'm asking them, and that's something that Bonnie does, and it goes straight to the point. So a lot of people have been responding saying, oh no, I'm not a coach. I just like to promote health and fitness on my page. Awesome. I think that you should be a coach. So I kind of like have been coming up with a few scripts that have been working. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh, also Luigi, beautiful man, by the way. He talked, I'm going to give you guys my takeaways from his, because he talked about like 5 different areas in terms of Shakeology. The first one was about our protein. A lot of different protein shakes out there, quote unquote, they don't test for heavy metals. They don't test for different toxicities and pesticides. Shakeology does. So that's a selling point. That is something that you can start talking about, is the fact that Shakeology and, you know, where we source our protein, it's all being like filtered and viewed and tested for any toxicities and heavy metals. So that was a huge important piece. Sugars. I get a lot of questions about sugar. A lot of people are like, oh, there's too much sugar in Shakeology. Here is a 1-sentence blurb that will just, you know, make that objection go away. It's 7 grams of protein per shake, which is 1/3 of a piece of fruit. That's not a lot of sugar. So I've been sharing that with people, and people are like, oh, that's not a lot. Yeah. 1/3 of a piece of fruit is in Shakeology. And I think that's it. Overall, it was awesome, you guys. I know that was kind of all over the place, but it was awesome. I just absolutely loved it. I'm definitely going to be more involved in our team and, you know, being more of a leader. I actually, off note, had a leadership retreat with my team, and they said the same exact thing. They're like, Kendra kind of just does her own thing all the time. So I'm really just trying to show up as a leader more and being more present. So I'll definitely be more present with you guys. So yeah, that's enough from me. Who is next? Is Ronnie Joe on?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Cool.
Hello. Okay. So I kind of just want to, before I kind of dive into like my takeaways, I kind of want to go back to what they were both just saying about that Shakeology training. one of the things, okay, so I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I am in the beauty industry. You wouldn't know right now, but I am. I'm a cosmetologist. So I have a lot of people coming into the salon, and people ask me for a lot of like aging tips and things like that. Something that they also told us about Shakeology was after the age of 25, the aging process begins. Like, so from 26 on, you lose a little bit of that muscle that you've gained over your life, and it'll continuously break down by like 50%, and like just slowly just keep going down. However, Shakeology actually stops that because it's rebuilding those proteins with the high quality protein that we're getting, since there's no metals and no toxins in our proteins, and that can actually stop some of the aging process in your muscles and like rebuild that. So when you think about people, I mean, how many people have you ever heard like, oh, I can't do that after I hit the age of 30, my whole body just changed? Well, if we can start marketing to younger people that are like, you know, early 20s, and then by the time they get to 25, they've already stopped this process. So it's going to really help change their life as going forward. And even still, like people like our parents' age, like if they would start drinking Shakeology now, they can help rebuild those and help start feeling younger. So that's a huge takeaway I took. And again, it's probably just some in the beauty industry, but I feel like that's something that I've never talked about with anybody, but everybody just assumes like, well, my body's here now, so it just is what it is. So that's huge. Okay, so something that like a really huge takeaway from me was on the first night we got there, Thursday. We were kind of just like lucky, like we had like this little intimate, just like cocktail hour, and there were just a few of us sitting around, but Jamie and Kim were there. And Melanie and Kim had left to go have dinner, but Jamie just kind of was like kind enough to sit around and chat with us for a little bit. And he really, like, I just started like picking his brain. I'm like, were you a coach first? Was she a coach first? Like, how are you both so together on this? Because they're just, I mean, they're rocking it. They just have something figured out. And he was like, honestly, I was the coach first. She was lucky. I built her to diamond, blah, 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 whatever. But then he said, you know, the most important part about this business is having your spouse on board. He's like, if your spouse isn't on board, you may not go that far. He's like, so every single person that is a coach, if they plan on their business actually really taking off, you have to sit down and just have the conversations with your husbands. You need to be like, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. And then he's like, and then bring them in, not just the health and fitness side of it, like bring them into the business side of it. Because as women, we're so into like, again, the beauty side of it, you know, like we want to look good. We want to feel good. We want to look younger. We want to be thin. You know, we want to eat healthy. Like that's us. But men are so much more mathematical and like this, like the down and dirty business side. Yeah. But like, how can we get rich from, you know, like that's like the man's point. So he's like, open up your back office and explain all of that to your husband, and just explain like how, if you watch the kids at this hour and you do this, so I can do this. I mean, this is a lot of stuff Melanie's taught us too. But once you see these small things happening, and once you understand this, then your spouse will get on board, and then it'll all just work so much better within your family. And things will just move with so much more ease. He's like, and then, you know, you guys just take turns, and ideally, then your husbands are going to be more on board. So if you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to be focused on this week, I'm going to really like knock out my challenge groups and do this and do this. Would you mind checking my back office and just giving me these numbers? And he's like, once you get the husband and the wife both on track and they see things and they can help, like, oh, remember, you're only at this number right now, or you've only made this much, and last month you were doing this, like, let's, you know, they'll start pushing you, and it's going to move your business forward. So that was like a whole different, like that wasn't even part of any of the trainings. That was just like an added bonus that just a few of us got. I mean, I don't even know who was even there besides Taylor and Jess. Like there was really just very few of us there. So it was just awesome. So, and that has stuck with me so much to like the point where I'm like, get him on a phone call. Like we've got to hear him talk, because it was just incredible to me. And I don't really know, I jumped on here like 15 minutes late because I had to get my kids to school, but my other biggest takeaway was, and I don't mean to say like my challenge groups suck, but basically after listening to Kim and Jamie's plan on how they run their challenge groups, they just run it so much like a business. Like they completely 100% are just, this is a business. Welcome. Like they act like they open the doors for you. Like, how can I serve you? What can I do for you? And just everything they said, it was like, well, no wonder they're doing so amazing and things aren't working for me, because I think the way I've been handling my challenge groups is I'm just like, hey, let's do this. And, and just kind of like trying to boost people up. But they're like, how can I serve you? This is what we're going to do. And they just train again, I don't know if Taylor already said this, but they just train everybody from day one. Every single challenger that walks in their door, they train as a coach. Like they just treat you, even if they know you're not going to be a coach, they treat you as if you're going to be a coach. They have you doing personal development. They have you having a food journal. They have you having all of these things they actually use the back office in their challenge groups. That way, after like a week or two, they're like, okay, these people are really leading the group. These people are really checking in daily. Let's ask them to run a day. And then they do it. And they're like, okay, now the next step is that now you sign up for a coach. And they're like, we're just busting out coaches because we're treating challengers as if they're coaches. So to me, I was like, mind blown. So I guess if your challenge groups aren't working, because I'm notorious for saying I can't get challengers to convert to coaches. I can't do that. Like I always say that. But I feel like since I came home, I have a lot more conversations going because I'm really trying to revamp my challenge group. And I know that Taylor and myself, like we've both been kind of working like on our own little like welcome pamphlet kind of thing to send our challengers. So I'm sure like we can share those with you guys once we get them figured out. But I think kind of maybe if like your challenge groups aren't pounding out coaches like some of these other coaches are, take a step back, look at your challenge group and just think like, if I was a challenger, would I want to be a coach with this coach? Like kind of think of it that way. Like, are we just raising challengers or are we raising challengers to be coaches? So I think that was like, those are my biggest things other than everything they said, because I feel like they kind of hit all like the really good points, but those things really have been sticking with me. But yeah, that's all I got.
Do you guys have any questions? I know like I was getting some messages like, share me all the gold you got at NLC. No, they didn't tell us any secrets. If you're wondering, like we don't.
It's
know.
pretty cool. Like we get all that training from this team. Like
Yeah.
I feel like I knew most of it, but I think everything that they kind of went over just solidified everything. But we have like amazing training from our team, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's so true. I think even like Kim's training where you're like brand identifying with your 5 things, I was like, this is your avatar. This is like how we train new coaches to find their avatar, but she just says it differently. And at this point in my business, when I'm like actually trying to brand myself now, this makes more sense than like finding my avatar person. But it really is the same thing. Mel did 2 trainings that we have had before. So like, it was great to see. It was cool to see her like helping so many other people outside of the team on like things that just are we just have had for so long that, we don't realize kind of the resource that we have here and like the amazing leaders we have on this team until we realize everything that we already knew, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Do you guys have any questions on anything?
I think I would just say like the energy too, like, I don't know, the company just like Carl's closing, he wasn't supposed to talk at the end, but he just like came out and was like, I have to say something because I want you to know like where this company's coming from. And he ended with saying like, he has these like, we got to tour headquarters and there's like this hallway that he walks in every day. He doesn't take the elevator or whatever. He comes in through this back hallway and the stairs and he writes all over the wall with Sharpie, like different quotes. And there's this one section and it's like all these letters. And he said he touches it every day when he comes in the building. And before he talks to us, he always says it, but it's like, I dedicate this moment to the service of love or to an act of love or something. So he's like, this business comes from a place of love. Like, I love people. I love to serve other people. And this is like, people have always told me I would never be able to do this. Like when we started Beachbody, they were like, oh, that's cute. You're $1 million company. You'll probably be gone in 2 years. And he just was like, wait, what? Like, he was like, people just don't believe in how much love I have for this company and for you guys and for just changing people's lives with this. So I think it's just kind of like a breath out. I think it's just been, like a little bit like tense lately. And just to hear him say that, like, I love you was a big deal,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this company definitely has our back. It was like really cool to go visit the headquarters and, talk with Dr. Beautiful Luigi and see all of those quotes on Carl's wall. And just, they have our back and they're listening to us. And it's great to work with a company that really just, they have the coach's interests at heart and their customers' interests at heart, which is great.
Yeah. I did write notes whenever he talked. Go ahead.
Just to be able to see them as like real people too, and not just these people that are on stage at Summit that you never actually see. Like they were sitting at tables next to people, and on Saturday night they just had like this fun little game show thing, and Jeff Hill was sitting behind Jess and I just like talking to us. Like it was just like fun. Like everybody was just hanging out and walking around having dinner with us. So just to know that they're actually real and they really are just doing this for us was really cool.
Mm-hmm. And then Carl said, I did like write little notes. He said, I dedicate this moment to the service of love. So he has like IDTMTTSOL on a wall. So he touches those letters like every time he walks in the building. But then he also said that like the only thing that's going to make you not successful or not reach your goals is fear. And he said to just always keep your eye on the snake in the room, and that's fear. Fear is going to cause you to make the wrong decisions and not the right ones. So just to get rid of it and keep your eye on it and understand like what scares you and know that about yourself. It gets a little hard.
Yeah. Well, and one more, like right after you said that, I like turned to that same page, and at the very last thing I wrote down was serve people. So that must have been like one of the very, very last things he said, but that's also a word that Kim used so many times in that whole week. So really think about that as you go off to your challenge groups and off to your coaches. Like, you're here to serve them, to make them better. It's not about them serving you to bring you up higher. It's about you doing for them in order for you to help them.
Yep. It was a lot about serving, which I think is what sets us apart from everyone else.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's all. That's all she wrote. So have a good Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, guys.